Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Who are
Kind of
you?
wanting to do the Zoom one, but I'm like, I like being able to like
Yeah,
feel each
yeah.
other's energies.
I guess
and
this is you.
this
Are we
is-
starting?
We can start whenever. Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay.
started. Yeah,
Oh,
sure.
okay.
Doesn't matter.
There's no cut.
There's no, yeah, no. It's not like a welcome to the.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
we're just here, and especially in a time where everything is scripted and made up, and you know what I
Yes.
mean. So,
Yes,
yeah,
I agree because that's also the reason why I wrote the book is to elicit meaningful conversations between parent and child.
right.
So of course, like initially I wasn't sure like why you invited me because I know little about basketball.
Well, it's not a basketball show. It just so happens that I'm affiliated with a lot of them, right? And I
Yeah.
happen to be one, but
Okay.
it's yeah. You are a person of interest, and it's my
okay,
show,
thank
so I want to talk with people that I want to talk with, and
Okay.
obviously I know we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Our sons had play dates and all sorts of, when I was living a whole different life. So we've known each other for a long time. We're neighbors. But I've been able to see your growth as a person, as a mother, and now as an author, and all the things that you're doing, and all your features, and it's wild to, like, we've had conversations where we've shared our struggles and things like that. So to see where you're at now, and the projection, it's like definitely want to be able to catch up with you, and see where you're at, and know your mindset and mentality behind a lot of this stuff.
Oh wow, thank you, thank you. First of all, thank you for thinking of me and for having me here, including me in these amazing conversations. I mean, this is it's amazing. I mean, this is you. What you're doing right now is you. I can
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah. You mean me, like not wanting to leave and stay home and rather have conversations?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me, definitely. Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming though. Yeah. Especially like I said, at a time where most people want to do Zoom meetings, and which is cool also, but
Convenient. It's
definitely,
convenient.
yeah. Which is why I doubly appreciate like my past guests and yourself for taking time and getting through the Manila traffic to be here. So yeah.
Yeah, I had company, so Sandra was
Yes.
also enjoying the drive.
The road trip, the scenery.
Do I ask you
Yeah.
questions or?
I mean, you can if you'd like. No, but
Yeah.
like I said, I want to know. What I really want to know is, so like the last time we spoke, it was, I think you were just dropping your book, What the Sun Says to the Moon, right? Is
Yes,
that
yes.
that's the title, right? Yeah. Or maybe you were even, I think you had just got with the publisher. It was around that time. I don't
Yes,
think you
yeah.
had even printed yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
So I started the process of the book during the early months of the pandemic, the COVID. So I was at that. Yeah, I don't know. I could say that maybe I wasn't. I was spinning and struggling to find hope. So I was in that time of isolation. I thought of my bucket list already and what I want. How do I want to leave the world? So I was thinking, I've always had this dream of writing a children's book, even way back when I was a preschool teacher. And then, but thinking, what story? So this storybook, What the Sun Says to the Moon, is inspired by Sandro because he said this phrase before. He sang, the sun and the moon like to stay together, but they can't stay together all the time. But they have a good time in the sunset. So when I would look up in the sky, there would be days where the moon is there, but there are days when the moon's not there. So made me wonder. So it started from there.
Right. And he just sung it out of nowhere.
It was over pillow talk. Pillow talk. I mean before bedtime, when I would read Sandra's storybook, and then he sang that song like a chant, like the sun and the moon like to stay together, but they can't stay together all the time. But they have a good time in the sunset. So I did some research also, and they said that did you know that the sunset only lasts for around 28 to 33 minutes in a day. So that's a short time for, like, well, it's a meaningful enough conversation you can have,
Yeah.
right? So there are days when the the moon is there, and there are days when the moon's not. So I made a story out of it. So the book is inspired by one of my two favorite children's book authors. I'm not sure if you're familiar with The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein
Sounds familiar.
and Eric Carle, The Very Hungry Caterpillar.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I just saw the actual. It was cool. They came out with the actual caterpillar, like the plush toy. I just saw
Yes,
that
yeah.
recently. Anyway, yeah.
So it's a mix of that, and also I have another favorite children's book author of The Little Prince. It's kind of hard to pronounce his his name, Antoine. The Little Prince.
Little Prince.
I forget his. Yeah, I might butcher his name. So
Go ahead.
Yeah.
He probably won't hear this.
yeah. So that book was inspired by my three children's book authors,
Yeah.
because I wanted a storybook where the kids would feel safe, a book where they can just keep coming back and, read it over and over and have a different takeaway each time they read it, and a story also where they can also that could spark their imagination, the creativity and imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that something that sparked from you being a school teacher, or is that like that's always been the heart of you to like? Is that what got you into teaching in the first place, or is that something like you wanting to have, allow kids to feel safe and blah, blah, like does that whole thing spark from?
Yeah. Yeah. Nice question. I'm thinking about it now. I guess it's just more myself. I feel like when I do meet different people, I do want to make them feel safe, also, and comfortable.
Yeah.
So, being a preschool teacher for 10 years also gave me that desire and understanding of myself of what I can offer. So I enjoy being around children.
Yeah.
I feel like I can learn from them also every day.
Yeah, definitely. Because at that age, they're super honest too,
Oh, yeah.
right? like almost, it's rude if you're an adult doing that shit. Right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But that's the beauty of it. Like it's very clear if they feel safe. They're very clear. It's very clear if they feel afraid
Yeah.
or happy. And honestly, like that's for myself. That's where that's what I want to get back to. Like
Yeah.
the idea of just allowing yourself to be yourself and be authentic, right?
Yeah.
I talk a lot about my sons and watching them grow, and I have an idea of how I would like to see them grow or how I would want to impact them. But I think over the years I've learned more from them than I think I've tried to instill in them almost.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because it's taught me a lot for myself, being a man, it's taught me a lot of, it's kind of, they've put up a mirror of who I am to see myself more clearly. Like, I might be projecting here, or I see a lot of myself in them,
him, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, nope, I need to fix that because I don't want that shit to come out. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
right.
So, yeah, no, that's really cool though. That what's really cool for me is, again, you talked about this before, and then to see like the actual book, like you brought me the coffee book. I have your book is there. It's just
Oh, is
it's
it?
always been there. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
And I think you can't see it in the screen, but then I have your moon and your sun up there on the shelf as
Oh,
well.
wow.
Yeah. Did you knit those by yourself?
No, a friend of mine
Oh,
did,
okay.
so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and that's that's always that type of stuff, like creativity and the expression of it is always inspiring to me. But to see someone think something, they talk about it, and then to see the actual book and watching your journey and seeing you in these, you were in Modern Parenting for a few, of their, I don't know what you call it, a few of their magazine, what are those called? Issues.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah,
I went to
issues,
college,
yeah.
I swear.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why, like I said, like you've always been an interesting person to me already, but like, especially now with what's going on, it's like, I think people need to know, more people need to know, because like you said, during the pandemic, when this idea hit, so many people lost hope.
Hope, yeah.
You know what I mean? And we've had conversations then at the time, and you were really just determined to find what what was best for you and what you needed for yourself and your family and Sandro. And like I said, that's inspiring. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I what I really want to know is, like, behind all of that. Like, so I see it. I see the book. I see the issues of the magazines. I see you, doing the interviews, and you're here and you're everywhere. But like, on the inside, for yourself, going from what the fuck am I gonna do to and to see where you're at now. Like, what is that process? Like, where are you now with, like, how has it helped you, or what changed? What do you still struggle? Like, I want to know, like, more of that inside, you know what I mean? That whole internal process, because I think a lot of people miss that, like, whether how difficult it is or how stressful it may still be, even though you've kind of got, reached your mountain. So
It's funny because I was just thinking about that. I'd share with Sandra that I think a lot. So I told him I could be cerebral. Like, there are nights when I can't sleep because I think about all of these things about where do I go from here and all that. But I feel like this journey of an author has given me so much gifts and wisdom and understanding that I feel like this is the line of this is the direction that I'd want to pursue. So slowly I want to focus on this because I did write 2 more books after this. I have the manuscript with me. I can make you read it. Yeah, and
I'd
it's
love to.
yeah. I want to travel with these stories and share it, and then eventually also have it translated to Filipino. And also, I feel like this is the journey that I could retire in.
Yeah. Is it
Tama.
also the journey that you feel fulfilled and purpose in, and all of that?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
I would imagine that's the bigger
Yeah.
thing for you.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this, I'm kind of steel manning, but knowing you've always been a cerebral person, and when you do make moves, it's like it has to have purpose, it has to have meaning. You're a very passionate person, very emotional, and I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And so I'm not moving. I can't. It's hard to make a move if there's no passion or fulfillment behind it.
But I've made mistakes. So it's like a hit and miss. So I did try other professions. So I have so many hats, right? So many businesses, and I've tried. But this is this journey is the one that really made me feel there's just something. At first, it would be frightening. So I guess whenever you put yourself out in the public, right, it could be very frightening, making yourself feel vulnerable in front of the world. But I feel like this is my story. I've been sitting with this story for a long time, just to myself, just thinking about it. But I feel like this is something that I can offer. These stories is what I can offer, and people learn through stories, right? And there's nothing about a good story that can move the world, right?
Yeah.
So I guess this is what I can offer to the world.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why we're sitting here. Because your story, it's in itself. You're sharing stories, and that's you putting value out into the world to hopefully put positivity out and give, some sort of change. But allowing people to see your story and hear your story, I think, is
Yeah.
also is just as powerful.
I told Sandra that I'm an introvert because I'm a shy person. I'm not the type who'd like put myself out there in public or give speeches. For the book exhibit last April, I had to stand in front and actually say something. I told him it's something that I had to face. Like I wrote something about feeling that fear but facing it anyway, but doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So allowing your fear to fuel whatever you're feeling so you can pursue whatever would make your heart and soul keep burning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
so I told him that this is what I do for you. And I see he's growing up. He's 13. It's a different dynamic already because it's different when he's younger. When he's younger, I guess my philosophy as a parent was to give him like good childhood memories, make it fun for him. But now it's different. How I would talk to him would be different when he was 5 than now when he was 13.
Totally.
So my philosophy would be something different already. How I would approach parenting. Oh gosh, like maybe seeing him not a baby anymore or a child. It's like I have to every time when I feel like I have to step in, I have to like put myself back and think, oh, I'm raising an adult, not a child anymore.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm the same way with my sons. Like, there are times where they would say certain things or do certain things, and it would strike a chord in me, whether it's something that I've went through or something I may have some experience with. But I always have to come back to the idea, like, one, I can't project on them what I went through just because it may connect or associate in some sort of way. But also the main understanding is they're on their own journeys.
Right.
Right. Both of those boys, they grow up in the same house, have the same parents or whatever, but they're still on their two separate journeys. And so I try to approach them as they are, where they are.
Right.
And that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially when you, like for me and just like, especially like for parents, period, we all have our own lives. We're trying to fix our fucking selves.
Yes,
and then we have to fix these little people and help them and show them and guide them along their path. But
what's that quote that they say? Stand by the gate and watch them fly. Or stand by the gate and watch them fly. Just watch your kids fly.
Yeah.
So it's just knowing that, you just let them fly and assure them that you're here when they do come back. Have you heard of that?
I haven't heard it, but it makes a lot of sense. It's similar to I just reheard the story about the prodigal son that we all know in the Bible, right? Where the one goes off and squanders his stuff and eventually comes back, and the king welcomes him back with open arms. It's like that's us, right? That's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to just let go. I know a lot of parents who haven't been able to let go, and they want to control everything that their kid does, and don't go down this road, and don't go down this path, and do this and do that, and do what you're told. And I personally just don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to the idea of like the I told you so, or not I told you so, but just because I said so.
Right.
Follow me blindly because I said so. And it's like, no, because that's not preparing them for life. That's kind of keeping them in the bubble, and that's a dangerous thing to do.
I have a story because just recently, Sandra.
That's your water, by the way.
Oh, okay.
If you want coffee, I can get you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Just recently, Sandra went off to his first beach trip without me, with his friends.
Oh, how was that for you?
I know. so many feelings. I told him, please give me this. I'm going to post this because I needed to let my feelings out. No, I feel like it's about time also. It's difficult letting go, especially knowing that he's my only son, our only son, one and done, right? So I feel like letting him go, knowing that I have faith in him, he can look back and say, okay, my mom thinks I can be on my own already, then maybe I can do it, right? So eventually teaching him to be able to own his life, right? There are certain things in life that I want him to own. Like, it's like I'm handing you your life and it's up to you, right? Eventually, while he's still under my care, I would rather that he experiences all of these other feelings or experience heartache or pain or disappointment while I can still take care of him
Right.
or help him process. Eventually, he owns his life, his victories, his failures. So that's what I could pass it on. But putting my feelings aside, because me knowing where he is, that's like my own comfort. But him owning his life, that's for him. That's what I've thought of for the past, like for that, going through that experience of letting him go.
Yeah.
Do I make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's a really hard thing to do. That's a really hard thing to do. What is it that, let's say when Sandro first approached you with the idea of like, okay, he's going to go on this camping trip, like, was there immediate, like, did alarms start going off? Were you like resistant to the thought before you even said anything? Like,
I
what
didn't
was
say
your,
anything. I said, we'll see, we'll see. Usually, if I don't really give a definite answer, I tell him, we'll see, let me think about it.
but are you really thinking about it, or are you like, this is a no, but I'm trying to
Yeah,
delay
it is a
it?
no. I don't. The first time he asked me, I said no right away.
Why?
He was 12.
Okay.
Okay, he was
You
12.
just didn't feel like he was ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I told him, not until you learn how to pack your clothes well. I mean, he knows how. So Sandro's pretty independent. So we don't have any helper or a driver. So it's just us. So he has his own set of chores to do also at home.
Right.
So he washes his own school clothes or his clothes in general. So
Wow. Good.
yeah, so once I see that he's more responsible and that I allowed him to go, since I guess the timing of it all, like he had no school and then he's done with his schoolwork and it was the birthday of his best friend. So, and his best friend asked me. So I said, okay, I'll let you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's got to be
The timing is important.
the timing, and you'll see these little, they need to hit these little milestones. It's like video games. I don't know if you played or ever played video games,
No,
but
I've played Roblox.
okay,
Is
I'm
it the
not.
same?
I don't know. I actually haven't played Roblox, but typically in video games, you have to get to the next level. You have to
Yeah.
get certain milestones, and if you don't get certain spots, you can't continue on in the game. And I think that's sort of a lesson in life where, especially with our kids, you have to show you're responsible in little ways, whether it's packing your clothes or like with my sons, a lot of times it's forgetting stuff. Both of my sons, they're very smart, and easy. Schoolwork is easy, and they'll do the homework and it's quick, but then they'll forget to turn it in. And I'm like, it's little stuff like that. So it's like,
Yeah.
you talk about you want a dog, but then you can't clean up your room. How
Yes,
much
yeah.
more if the dog,
Yeah. That's where we're at now. He wants to have a dog.
right?
So I said, no, not until you know how to clean your room. Because I'm going to end up taking care of
Exactly.
the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of dog? Or do you have a say in that, or is it like
at first, so he did ask me earlier on the way here if you still have your dog. He's like, he wanted one, like something like that.
Oh, American
Yeah,
Bully.
yeah,
Yeah, they're cuties.
yeah. I
Yeah.
said, but I did some research. I said they have a lot of energy, so you'll
Yes.
have to walk them and all that. But are you ready for that responsibility? I can give you a fish again. I can
Start
give
off
you,
with
or a turtle. But he really does want to have a dog or a cat. Yeah.
Yeah. I tried to get a cat once,
Mm-hmm.
and
How's
then that's when I realized I'm allergic to them. Yeah.
Oh,
So I had it
okay.
for like 8 hours,
Oh, okay.
and I was sneezing nonstop after the
Oh,
first 2 hours. I was like, oh no. And then
oh.
I'd message Dex like, come get this thing and take it back. I can't. But
Mm-hmm.
it was super cute, and I wanted it because they're easier to maintain.
Yeah,
They're a little
yeah.
bit more independent and
Mm-hmm.
self-sustainable, I guess. But I am a dog person. I do want another dog.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I need something, a bird or some
Yeah.
shit.
But I've heard like a lot of people would tell me that once they have a pet, it's going to make them more responsible. But I'm
Yeah.
not sure. So I said, we'll see.
It's a heavy lesson because then it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a risk.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we get this dog, and then
Yeah.
the kids they learn more responsibility. But if they don't learn it,
Mm-hmm.
then you're stuck
With
cleaning up the shit
yeah.
and feeding it and
Yeah.
taking it out, and
Mm.
now you're angry at each other.
I wanted a small dog, the ones that you
Like
see, the miniature ones.
like oh, like the ones that like get the haircuts, like the little afro
Yes,
type.
yeah.
Yeah.
The small
What are those
miniature
things
ones.
called?
Yeah.
Parenting, man. That's a it's a tricky balance.
Mm-hmm.
And like I don't, it's tricky for me, and my kids aren't even here.
Mm-hmm.
Like just deciding on how I want to approach certain things. Like I FaceTime them at least once a day,
Yeah.
sometimes twice, right?
Okay.
But
How is it like parenting? You say that you're a digital dad,
hmm
right? How um how would you guide them from here? What would what are those advice, or how do you talk to them?
well, the principally, I want to I want to try to make communication safe for them. So
Okay.
I'm always encouraging them to just talk freely. Like there's nothing there are times that when we talk I'm like there's nothing you can say to me that would surprise me, or
Mm-hmm.
definitely nothing you can say that would make me not love you or not be proud
Okay.
of you or support you, right? So I try to come from that place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I just open space for them to just kind of talk and be
Mm-hmm.
themselves. It's funny when I went back to visit. I was in the States for a couple of months recently, and I think in the first week, my eldest is Charlie's. He's almost 15. He'll be
Mm-hmm.
15 next month.
I think Sandra's in between them, right?
Yeah, yep,
So he's 13,
yep.
okay,
And then
14,
Romans 12.
12.
Yep. And right in the first week, I was taking the boys to work out because they're both into basketball,
Mm-hmm.
and Charlie was getting frustrated. We were doing a lot of shooting, and I was working
Mm-hmm.
him pretty
Mm-hmm.
good. He was getting frustrated with his shot, and mind you, in my head, they're still my little baby boys, right?
Yeah,
Even though I tried
always,
to,
yeah.
try not to come at them that way or coddle them or anything like that. Right in the first week, or right in that maybe third workout, he's getting frustrated, and he's like, "Oh, just the damn ball won't go in," and he like walked off the court.
Mm.
And in my mind, initially, I was so shocked, like, what the fuck did you just say?
Mm,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like, because
Mm-hmm.
they're very respectful kids, and they're
Yeah.
mindful, and they're great boys. But in that moment, it was like I popped out of like mindful dad to like old school dad. Like,
Yeah.
did you just say what I think you said? That's not what I said, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow, he's getting older. Like, but you got to allow that.
Yes,
I
yeah,
understand
yeah,
that. I'm a player. I've been playing this game every year of my life since I was 9. And it's like, I get it. It's frustrating. So I'm like, okay. Once I kind of took that initial shock, I was like, come back to myself and approach it the way that I mindfully want to approach it. But it's a just the same way as with gratitude or any sort of mindset you want to be in with yourself. It's a constant with parenting. It's a constant reminding of yourself of who you want to be as a parent.
parent, yeah.
What do you want to do? So go back with to your question. It's always it's trying to be as mindful as I can and open up space for them to encourage honest communication. Because I'm thinking later on in life in their 20s and excuse me, 20s and their 30s, they'll be able to look back and say, "Oh yeah, Dad, I can talk to Dad about this shit because of our history."
Right.
I'd rather a hard truth than than a lie
Right,
or
right,
a
yeah.
held in lies
Being-
especially with them. So yeah, that's how it is, and I have to sit through the weird stories and their dreams that they had and shit
Yes,
like
yeah.
that, and just kind of like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm not gonna shut you down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Same with Sandro also. We've had this conversation about, I mean, it's not that I don't want him to play basketball or I don't want him to try out. It's just that, I mean, I want to expose him first to like maybe other sports. So he does CrossFit also with me. But early
nice.
this year, yeah. So I just want to expose him to other hobbies, okay, that would interest him. But he ends up going back to basketball. And he's like, "Why you don't want me to be a basketball player, Mom? You don't think I can do it?" Then I said, "Why, you think I'm not tall?" I'm like, "No, it's not that. I mean, I told him that I'd support him in whatever he would like get himself into." So what he did, he surprised me early this year. I think around March, he tried out for basketball. So he just told me, "Mom, pick me up at 6 o'clock. I'm gonna try out for 2 days, so Monday and Tuesday." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So he wants to try out for varsity. And the first day, he was like, "I don't think I'm going to make it, Mom. There's just so many." So I guess it was also his first time to experience trying out with like over 30 kids.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, in
yeah.
his school. And then I said, "Well, you still have another day tomorrow, so there's always you have another chance, and maybe try to reflect on what you did today and work on it for tomorrow." So Tuesday, they did tell him that he made it to the varsity,
Wow,
but the training pool. Yeah.
good.
So for the whole summer, it was our first time to like go to practice every day. He has to wake up. So we didn't have a summer break because I had to take him, but also I had to take him to a summer class for Chinese. So we're not Chinese, so we needed to take summer class.
Right.
So he had that experience of being part of basketball, but when school year started, he didn't make it to the last. Well, from 30, he made it to the 18,
Yeah.
and it's different when you watch your child go through the ups and the downs. So I guess this is me going back to allowing him to own that victory that he made it, and then also allowing him to own up to this disappointment that he has to go through. Like, of course, he felt bad that he didn't make it to the last after working so hard. But that's for him. This is a lesson for him that he could carry for the rest of his life. Now he's working better in school. So maybe when he does try out again, he's going to be better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's really what the game is. The game is a lot like life in that sense. that's first of all, it's great that he made it to the trading pool. But and I still say it to the younger guys now, like, yeah, we may have lost. Like recently, our team recently, we just finished in the quarterfinals, and we lost one of the games. And looking back now that the quarterfinals are over, it's like we actually needed that loss so that we can kind of restructure and see where our flaws at and see where we need to fix things. And it made us a better team because of it. But that's just the pattern in life, really, right?
Can you say that to Sandra later?
Sure,
Yeah.
I will let him know.
Yeah.
There's a lot I actually, now knowing that he's actually that interested in the sport in particular, I can even connect him to some guys and trainers that if he really wants to do it,
Okay.
that would be great too. But
This is something different for me. It's new, so I don't really know how to like talk to him about it. So I'd ask him, Sans, what do you say when you're in court? What kind of trash talk do you say? You're so bad, like that? And he's like, really, mom, really? No. Or like, oh, you need to take a shower because your game stinks. And is it like that? And then he's like, oh, you're so not cool, mom.
I would love if someone talked trash to me like that. Your game is so trash. You need to take a shower because you stink. There's some pretty ridiculous trash talk that at his age, definitely, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. No, he's gotten like scratches on his hands or what, or bruises after.
That's part
Of
of
course,
it.
that's different. I mean, again, I go back to thinking, oh, I'm not raising a child, I'm raising an adult, so he
Yeah.
has to go through that.
Yeah, but I just listening to what you're saying, I think you're doing a great job with helping him understand the greater lessons in all of these things. That I think that's what's going to help him stay grounded. That's the stuff
Is that right?
yeah,
Okay.
that's what's going to help him succeed in whatever he does, because that's the stuff that is necessary in life, to be able to see even losses as stepping stones, and being able to learn from losses and bounce back from situations where you may not get what you want, because the reality in life is we don't always get what we want, right? And as you become an adult, the more more responsibilities you have, more obligations you have. When you have a family and you have kids and then you're responsible, there's so many things, and it doesn't get any easier. So looking back for myself, it was like a lot of stuff I had to do, I had to learn on my own. A lot of parenting I had to do on my own. A lot of stuff that I learned on the streets. A lot of stuff, a lot of life lessons, quote unquote, I learned just from watching other people and kind of processing stuff on my own. And it's not a knock on my mom. I lost my dad at 7, and it's not a knock on my mom. She was working all the time. So I was kind of left to my own devices. But when I look back, I'm like, maybe if I had a better idea of or guidance in these areas of what losses mean and the bigger picture in the things that I was dealing with, maybe I would have went a little further or been closer to what I actually wanted in my life. And it's not to say I'm not happy with my life now. I'm grateful for the stuff that I've been able to accomplish, and through my own definition of success, I feel like I've been and am becoming a success based off my own definition of it. But there are just some lessons that were harder to learn just because I didn't have the voice that Sandro now has through you, or the voice my kids have now through me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't have to be, for you in particular, you don't have to know sport.
Yeah.
You know life. And the stuff that you're teaching Sandro is going to help him not only in sport, but in it's helping him in school. It's helping him to become he's becoming a better, a young man, a respectable young man, and it's going to help him in life.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
never discredit that stuff or discount it.
Thank you. I've also learned to accept that he's at this stage also where he needs also other people aside from me. I can't be anymore everything. I can't be his teacher, his playmate. I can't
Yep.
be all of that. He'll be needing other people to guide him,
Yep.
other people that would inspire him. And of course, he would prefer to listen to other people. And that's something that I also had to accept as a mother. And seeing him run off with his friends already, he's at that stage where he values friendship right now, and he's also finding his place in school and in his peers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In his life, he's really finding it.
yeah,
That's a realization that we have to have as parents, right? I've, like I said, I was in the States for 2 months with my sons, and a lot of times, because I'm not with them most of the year, my intention is to just really just pour into them, right? Almost too much. And I caught myself maybe midway through my trip, and I'm like, I even told Charlie, like, I know my talks and speeches become a little bit it's maybe too much at times.
yeah,
But I'm just, that's my heart or whatever. And I realized, like, in their shoes, like, here's dad with that again. And what made me realize that is, even recently, Charlie told me about how one of his coaches was telling him about how his shot is. And because he was having like an off practice or something, his coach told him, yeah, it's because of this. And I'm listening, and I'm just like, you don't remember all those damn talks we had about
Yeah,
your shot when
yeah.
I was there? But I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And I'm like, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
The kids are, when we're in their ear, or, when they hear something so many times from us, it's kind of like may not process, but when they get that outer perspective,
yeah.
then it can like
They'll
click.
listen more to
Yeah,
them.
but I do believe, and maybe it's a theory or I don't know, whatever. I think it clicks when they hear it outside because it connects to the thing that we've put in them, right?
Possible, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it almost affirms, where it's like, okay, mom, all right, dad,
Yeah.
and then their friend says it, or
Their mentor or
yeah,
a
or
coach. He has a coach
exactly.
that he really looks up to, and he listens to him. Yeah.
Yeah. There was an issue. This is a couple of years ago. Charlie was going to school, and his hair, he just wouldn't, for some reason.
There's something about their
Yeah,
hair.
it's like he won't comb it or something. And I'm
I
like,
told him it's like an alpaca hair.
right. So their mom was like, why do I have to keep reminding you to, brush your hair or make yourself look presentable? And I'm like, hey, don't even trip about it, because all it's going to take is for that girl that he's
Yeah.
crushing on or somebody to be like, ugh, your hair looks weird. And then from then on, he's going to be brushing it and styling it. And I need to get a haircut. So I'm like, but that's just how it is. They listen, they listen and they absorb. But I think the repetition kind of, like, we've been there when we were kids, right? Like we were the same way. So, when you hear something so many times, it kind of like becomes white noise. But I'm holding on to the idea that when they're older, whether it's in their 30s or, God willing, I'm around in their 40s, that it had clicked in them, like, oh, this was Dad's heart. It took a lot for him to do what he tried to do for us. I'm sure it's the same for you as well with Sandro. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I told him for his 13th birthday that it doesn't matter to me if, you get like really high grades or you get what's important is what's inside you. Like of course, when he got in the training pool, there's that rush, I guess. I don't know, like he was really confident about it. So I told him there's a difference. There's a thin line between confidence and arrogance.
Mm.
So just one, I know you're young. It feels good, So what's important for me is what's inside you. So we'd have that now, and of course it's difficult to like have those healthy arguments in the car, and so it pains me sometimes if I feel like I'm not getting through him as much as I want to. So it helps to have people around me. So they do say that it takes a village to raise a child, right?
Yeah.
So I'm happy and fortunate enough that I have friends that could also talk to him, that he also looks up to, and that he listens to. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's important.
Definitely.
Yeah. Mm.
The the multifaceted perspectives or multi-angled perspectives, that's huge. When you see one thing, you're getting one funnel. I think for anybody, it's gonna be dangerous. Like I've been a loner for most of my life,
Yeah.
but I realize that I always feel more alive and expanded when I have moments with my close friends or spend some time out or have a good talk and it's like, oh man, that like something's different, something, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's kind of that same principle of it takes a village to raise a child. It takes whether how big or small the circle is, it takes that
Right.
village to maintain as an adult, as a human. I think in this world, you can't do it alone.
And you can't parent alone too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely. Single parent, whatever. Like you can have both parents in the
Yeah.
house and still, you still need these other voices, whether it's titos, titas, lolas, lolos, friends and coaches and mentors and pastors, and it's a whole mix, and depending on the person, depending on the kid, will dictate what's actually necessary. But another big part of that is teaching them discernment on who they allow in their lives as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I had that talk with him also. Like, trust your gut. Know who you can. You'll know who you need to let go, and just let go of them quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, we all had our fair share of, like, you'll meet different people that would hurt you and that's not good for you, and just trust your gut. Yeah.
yeah. That's a lesson to now,
Yeah.
still as
Yeah,
an
as an
adult,
adult,
right?
yeah.
Like I still have moments where I'm like, I've gotten better at it, I believe, but there are moments still where it's like,
I shouldn't have. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
like I knew better, and like you
Yeah.
said, I should have trusted my gut, but you know, as long as we have that gauge of being able to come back to yourself and realize, what matters most and whatever. Like you said, our kids are going to go through their hurts, and they have to in order to learn these lessons. Even though we tried to tell them the shit in the
Yeah.
first place, they have to. Sometimes you have to experience things for yourselves,
Yeah.
and it's going to happen. But you know, part of our journey and job as being their parents is to guide,
Yeah.
so that we can, like you said, stand at that gate and watch them
And
fly, right?
Yeah. Quick question: How would you teach them to be humble? For example, if we're already there in basketball, you made it to the team, and of course, all the attention would be there. How do you teach that, the humility, and to know confidence versus arrogance? Because he said, no, you don't understand, mom. When you're in court, you need to be confident.
Yeah.
You won't understand because you don't play. But you don't have to be arrogant. So
Yeah.
what's the difference? I don't know how it is in the court, or how it is, why he says you have to be confident when you're in the court.
Yeah. Well, from principally, yeah, you definitely I say from my perspective as a player, you want to 100% believe in yourself, believe in your skills, be confident, whether it's to take a shot or just to step on the floor or play defense, whatever. But I think the humility and not crossing that boundary into arrogance is having the understanding that there's always someone better, for one.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's always going to be someone better unless you're a Michael Jordan or a LeBron James or the late Kobe Bryant, something like that. There's always going to be someone better. And so that thinking alone should always keep you in the mentality of, I got to keep working. And there's always something to improve on.
Right,
So that's what I
yeah.
tell my sons all the time. Like, a lot of kids want to shoot like Steph Curry, where I don't know if you've seen Steph play, but do you know who Stephen Curry
Yes, I
is?
do.
Okay. Well, he does this thing where he shoots, and before the ball even gets to the hoop, he turns around and starts going the other way, back on defense, right?
Okay,
That's how
okay.
confident he is
Yes,
with his shot.
okay.
Like, I know this is going to go in, so I'm not even going to watch it go in. I'm going to turn around and go the other way.
Okay.
And a lot of kids, not even kids, people, because weekend warriors do it too, but a lot of people want to do that, but they do not shoot like Stephen Curry,
Yeah.
right? He's one of the greatest, if not the greatest shooter that we've seen. And so I had to tell my sons, like, Charlie would do that sometimes. Like, he'll shoot, and he has a really good shot. He's a really good shooter. But I'm like, don't do that shit. Like, until you're shooting
Sure.
percentages like Stephen Curry, and then you're in the NBA,
Yeah.
follow through, stay in your pocket, do what you have
Then
to do.
lay it up.
Yeah, exactly.
kidding.
Well, yeah,
No, I'm
okay.
just kidding,
If
I'm
it's a
kidding.
layup, whatever. Whatever it
No, Sandra
is.
laughs at me because
Right.
I'd use those terms,
Those terms,
like,
yeah.
like, no, Mom, you don't say that, or, don't miss at the top of the key. I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta learn the terms.
Yeah, the top of the key. Then he's like, do you even know what that means? I said, yeah, 3-point. Do you know why? I just recently found out that because the court looks like it's a keyhole. Am I right?
Maybe you might have just taught me something. I don't know.
Oh.
I just know it's the key or the paint.
Oh, paint. Okay, got it. Okay, so now I know I can share that with him.
Well, the paint is like so the free throw line,
Yeah.
right? Where they shoot free throws. There's
Okay,
that line, and then there's the lines perpendicular to it, right? Usually that area is painted.
Oh,
So like
okay.
if you're in the paint or the shaded area,
Okay,
that's
okay,
that
okay,
area.
got it.
So the top of the key, I guess, would be the rounded part past the free throw line.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be the 3, but that rounded top part. I'm sure I'll get corrected by some experts about that, but the keyhole. Now I'm curious to look that up. The key, top of the key. I never
Yeah.
even thought to question it. So you may have taught me something.
Sandra taught me that, so.
Well, thank you,
yeah.
Sandro. You taught your Tito something.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a distinct line between a distinct but thin line between arrogance and confidence. And I think, going back to your question, the understanding that there's always someone working, there's someone working harder than you, there's someone better than you. The reality of the situation is there's always someone better. So I try to encourage my sons and teach them to just have the mentality just to keep working and just do the best you can, and leave all the extra theatrics to everyone else.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's important. Coaches watch that stuff too. And if you don't have the game to back up these little antics,
Okay.
then you're going to get looked over.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, hard work.
I told him not to take things too personally if they trash talk you, like say your game is bad, not to take it personally.
Oh yeah, that's a big thing. I mean, I grew up in Detroit, and Not your Detroit.
I
It's
know.
a different Detroit.
I grew up also in Detroit. Cubao.
There you go.
Cubao.
And there, I grew up around a lot of trash talkers and really great trash talkers, like get in your head and under your skin. But it taught me to, have a thick skin and be able to ignore it. And so for me, I learned that the same with trash talkers was the same with bullies. If you ignore them, that energy just kind of goes away.
Okay.
And if you pay attention to them, all the more it's going to fuck with you. So with trash talkers, even to this day, when I've been in the league for a long time, and every now and again you get guys that start to talk trash and may or may not even have the game to back it up, but I just learned to just ignore it. 90% of the time. Sometimes it's kind of, I'm very capable of talking trash back if need be, but for the most
So do you
part,
also talk trash back?
only when I'm spoken to, and it depends. It's very situational, but 90% of the time, if someone's talking trash, I'll just let them air it out. I'm like, let's see if you can maintain your game while I'm attacking you.
Okay.
Right. So my suggestion to most people would be just ignore it. Focus on your game. I'm an Art of War guy. Have you read The Art of War?
I've read a few pages of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Great book, but I always think about that when I'm playing the game. And I realized for myself, usually when a guy's talking trash, he's either afraid or he's trying to find some sort of comfort because he's uncomfortable.
Okay.
Guys will say, oh, they're talking trash to get in your head. And like, I think they're talking trash really because they're uncomfortable and they're trying to find some sort of balance and get you off your game because of their discomfort. So to me, that stuff is a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it stoic, regardless of how I'm feeling. My emotions may be high. I do get nervous before games, but it's more now. It's more of an excitement than anything. But that's normal. But how do you control it? How do you respond to these emotional feelings and discomforts or nervousness? That will dictate how well you perform and how much you're able to concentrate. And I think that's just in life in general, right? Like you were on Showtime recently. I'm sure you had some nerves going off inside you.
Yeah. Like, well, initially earlier I was a little bit nervous because I wasn't sure what the questions would be like. Because normally
Coming here?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure either, as you can tell.
Usually I would ask for the questions beforehand and maybe reflect on it on the way or, but I could say it's comfortably nervous. So I was comfortably afraid for a while.
Yeah. I think it's healthy to have a healthy amount of nervousness. I always say that the games that I didn't feel nervous were the games where I played the shittiest.
Is that right?
Yeah. So anytime I went into a game, finals game, wherever, and I didn't have that like feeling in my stomach or like, am I gonna fuck up type of that energy. Anytime I didn't feel it, initially I'd be like, ooh, I must be really ready for this game. And I'd go out and I would just shit the bed. Literally. And then eventually no, not literally shit the bed. I'd literally play bad. Just for people who take stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so some years into my career, I realized like, oh, that's not what I want. I don't want to not feel something. I spoke with someone recently, and I might have even said it on the podcast already, but I now I look at nervousness as excitement, and it's really just my mind and my body trying to sync. So I'm in that feeling is a transition into what I'm getting, whether it's a battle or a talk or a, you know, even in these types of things. It's now, you know, however many I've done now, 4 or 5 now. There's a nervousness,
Yeah.
and now I'm glad because that
Right.
means I'm probably going to be on top of my game,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Like, that's why they say it's a mix of emotions. Because maybe nervousness and excitement could be
They
the
feel the
same.
same. They feel the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you think about it, like you, like
Yeah.
say a
Sometimes you can't sleep because, yeah, you're also nervous and excited.
yeah,
Yeah.
or you know, you're meeting someone for the first time, or you haven't seen your best friend in so many years. That's kind of like there's this
That,
thing
yeah,
going on,
nervousness.
right?
Yeah.
But the perspective on it is what will dictate how it expresses throughout your body, right? So if you feel that nervousness or whatever, you feel that
Wow.
feeling, and you're like, "Oh, I'm nervous," then that nervous will imply or insinuate will process in your body of like of a fear, and now you know the we say where your mind goes, energy
It goes.
flows,
I
right?
heard that. Yeah.
And so now you've gotten stuck in this spiral, this downward spiral of like, oh, now I'm afraid. So now I'm going to mess up or I might say the wrong thing. And I'm
Right.
like, if you think it, you
Yeah.
most likely will.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're thinking, I'm excited,
Right.
that's a good thing. This is positive. And now your mind kind of goes towards that. And eventually, once you see the person, talk to the person, get on the court, make the first shot, do whatever, you kind of
Yeah.
relax and now you're good.
And it boils down to regulating those emotions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote that in the second book, so it's in my phone. So I focused on feelings for the next one.
Okay.
And if the first book was about the pillow talk, Sandra and I were um, uh, getting ready for bed. My next one was inspired by our car talk, where he told me because after school visits, I learn also from the students that I meet, and I get that, inspiration and the strength from the the students in the different schools, and I would often ask them if are you how do you see yourself? Are you the sun or the moon in the story? Sandra said he feels like he's the sun and I'm the moon. But of course, for me, when I look at our relationship, I feel like I'm the sun and he's my moon. And he's like, no, mom, I think I'm the sun because I'm the sun literally because I'm your son, and you're the moon and you go through different phases. And then I was like, oh, yeah, true, that's so right.
He is wise
He's
behind his
seen
age.
me go through different
Yeah.
phases. So that's what the second book is about. It's
Wow.
about the different phases, and it goes hand in hand with feelings. If the first book was lessons on days of the week and the colors, and then the teachers can use that in the classroom to supplement these lessons, my second book would be that about the phases of the moon and feelings and how to regulate. This time, the sun and the moon would actually have a conversation in the story
Wow.
for the second and the third.
Yeah. I love that progression.
We could read it if you want. You could be the sun in the story, and then I could be the moon.
What do you mean?
Read it, the story.
Yeah. Right now?
If you want, I can send it over.
Yeah, sure.
Pwede naman ikat, diba?
No, I mean you can keep it in if you're okay with it, but you're gonna be putting it out, so I don't know if that's a
No, that's okay.
yeah. Shoot, send it to me.
Okay, hold on. I'll send it to you. In
Yeah, send it to
Messenger.
me. I was gonna say too, even with the first book, with what the sun says to the moon, I like that they made the most of those moments, those short moments that they have together in the sunset, right? Which is a lot like the good friendships, or even whether it's family, whatever
Family.
it is, like making the most of those short windows, because you don't know when that Saturday may hit. You know what I mean? And that gray sky comes, and you don't know if they're gonna, come up again. So there's a lot of little like things in that book, in your book, that you don't even directly talk about, that
Yeah.
you know what I mean, it has a lot of symbolism,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Oh, thanks for seeing that. Did you get it?
Not yet. Where'd you send it?
Messenger. What?
Here. It's numbers.
I have no glasses. Wait lang.
Do you want me to say?
Yeah,
say
it's
it?
okay for.
Do you have one? Is yours where like the font is ridiculously big?
No, I'm in denial. I want it to be regular text, but I need my glasses.
No, I get you.
Okay, there you go. Hold on. I could be I could be the narrator. I'll pause when it's your time to read.
How will I know it's my turn?
I'll stop. So I have no title for it yet, but the publisher will come back to me.
Okay.
So
So we're having an exclusive look at book 2.
yeah.
Okay.
So of What the Sun Says to the Moon. Have you ever wondered what the sun says to the moon when they are in the sky together? The sun and the moon like to stay together, but they can't stay together all the time. But they have a good time in the sunset. The sunset is their time together. Sunsets are for conversations. There are days when the sun is alone. Today, the moon showed up. The moon showed up as a shiny, glowing ball, lighting up the night sky. A complete circle in the sky. A full moon.
Hi. Hello, moon. Tell me about your day today.
Asked the sun. I feel a bit uneasy, worried about uncertainties I cannot understand, explained the moon.
It seems like you are feeling anxious. Know that you are stronger than I think you are. Take deep, long breaths, focus on the present, and take your time. Know that it will go away, slowly but surely.
Advised the sun. On another day, the moon appeared as a semicircle, and only half is illuminated. A delicate abstract grazing the night sky. A half moon. Today I felt afraid, sun, shared the moon. I did not know what to do when I felt an intense panic.
Have you ever felt the fear but did it anyway?
Asked the sun. Not yet, but it will be a challenge, answered the moon.
Pushing through fear will be less frightening. Get to know your fear and understand where this is coming from. This will only be temporary once you face it.
Explained the sun. Then one day, a crescent shape with a curved edge was peeking through the dusky sky, a quarter moon. The moon was a mix of darkness and lightness. I'm feeling some kind of way, annoyed, frustrated, livid. You need to get away from me, for I might explode, stated the moon. The sun understood.
I can see that you're angry. I'm glad that you told me. I'll give you space to pause until you are able to think clearly. I will be here when you are ready.
Expressed the sun. The quarter moon, in its whimsical, mysterious form, buried itself behind the clouds. Even in its darkness, there is still beauty to find in the night sky. And on one fine day, there was a tender glow in the moon. It was complete again, eager to brighten up the world's night sky.
Hi. Hello, moon. How are you today?
Asked the sun. I'm feeling much better, to be honest, replied the moon. It feels good to have someone ask how my day is,
You deserve to be asked how your day is every day.
shared the sun. I'm grateful for you for helping me understand and manage the feelings I experience in the different phases. You fulfill so much of what I've been missing and needing to be better, the moon expressed.
I'm just here, Moon. Know that there are no right or wrong emotions. All feelings, good or bad, are valid. It needs to be expressed. We all need to be seen and heard.
The sun explained. The moon smiled. It appears that the sun and the moon are aligned. A new moon. So as we gaze upon the night sky, the glowing new moon, our spirits soar higher, and we begin again. The sun and the moon were both happy again. Happy is an uplifting, wonderful feeling. The sky was beautiful. A glowing rainbow surprisingly appeared, a symbol of God's promise of better days, greater weeks, and happier years ahead. The end.
The end. Amazing. Yay.
Thank you, son. So for kids to be able to learn how to regulate this, so
And-
we go through different phases and we have feelings along the way, but we just go back to being whole again.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's the other part that I was getting at, where I'm really big on trying to figure out how to get my sons to communicate what they're feeling and not just hold it in, whether it's anger or whatever it is. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to
Okay.
experience
I'm
and
here, you can
express.
talk to me.
Exactly. And having that stable, constant to just be able to be a soundboard. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing this with me, Trina.
You're welcome. Thank you also for including me in these amazing conversations. And I'm big on that, on conversations, because I feel like it makes the world better. It makes things better. That's why I also encourage Sandra to talk about it. And I'd like my goal for writing. I often say that I write as how my head hears it and my heart feels it. So I write what's there and hoping that it could help people young and old. I mean, it's not only a children's book, but I also want, I hope that this could spark meaningful conversations for parent and child, friends, or small. I read to a group of 16-year-olds, and that was like one for the books because others teared and they were also very emotional about the story. But that was the first book only. I was imagining if I read this book, the second one and the third, they they can also have their own stories of the sun and the moon, what they could talk about, and so I feel like it's also relatable. Most of them say, "Oh, I'm the moon because I'm a night person," but it starts a conversation also, even among friends. They joke around also about them being the sun and being the moon, and I like it. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Especially at a time like now where it's necessary. We're coming out of the pandemic, and whether you like it or not, life has. If you haven't adapted, you're getting left behind, right? And the world has changed in so many ways, and a lot of people had to be strong on their own because they were, whether it's physically or emotionally isolated, and you had to find ways. We're in a space where we can meet with people again, and it's important to be able to find outlets and ways to express, and having a constant, which would be the sun, finding our sons, right? It's very timely. I think the impact reaches far beyond the youth, like you said.
It's a life skill to keep a conversation, right? I tell Sandra it's a life skill to be able to engage in a conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and to listen.
and to listen.
Yeah, I
Right.
think that's the biggest thing. Listening, being able to listen. Sometimes you need to be the sun. A lot of times we are the moon,
Yeah.
but we got to be the sun sometimes. So just like everybody else, I have my shit that I have to deal with and think about. But I think our conversation is very timely. I'm glad and appreciative of you taking time today to do it, of all days, because like I said, I think I needed this more than anything. Sandro's not listening, and I don't know if he will at some point, but I'm always here, like I've told you, whether it's for basketball or
He told me that he remembers that you taught him how to blow a bubble gum. Yeah. I was not successful, unfortunately, to teach him that. And then you, while he was at the gym, I don't remember. He said he saw
Yeah.
you at the gym.
Mm,
And then you taught him how to do it. And then he also remembers that when he was sick, you gave him his medicine and Gatorade.
yes.
It's a core memory for him.
Wow.
Yeah.
And to us, it could be the most random
Random
of stuff,
stuff
right?
Yeah, and he remembers that. And he remembers also, because I take him along with me to the gym, and he remembers my friends in the gym that would talk to him and engage with him. And I didn't think that it would stick to him. It's a core memory, so he knows our friends there also in the gym.
Yeah. I say just like with Sandro, just the same as with my kids. They're honestly fortunate to have parents that are mindful of how.
And willing to go through their inner healing or inner
Yeah.
work, to go do the inner work.
Yeah.
I recently just, well, not recently, but of course, to be able to write, I had to look into myself also. So I can also be a light to others. So I need to go through that darkness to be able to give light.
Yeah. The people with whether it's the biggest goals or dreams or the biggest impact or any sort of impact on the world, the ones who do that are usually the ones who go through the most, right? So, like I said, we've known each other for a long time, and we've talked through a lot of the heaviness and things that we've gone through in our lives.
Yeah.
But look at us now.
Yeah.
You know,
Tagal na, no? Like
Yeah.
2015?
Yeah, 2015. And through all the super lows, we're here now, and we're not just surviving, we're thriving, and that's always the goal. And I think that's part of what I wanted to do with this platform. That's what I've tried to do with my platform on social media, and it's not the most popular thing, but it's what I know. Getting up when you fall.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
growth too.
Yeah.
Getting up when you fall.
Yeah.
And you evolving into this, that's growth too.
Thank you for that. I appreciate you. We're well over the time limit that I told you, but yeah, tell Sandro to hit me up. I'll put him through some drills or something.
Okay.
No, I appreciate you, Trina.
Okay. You too.
Yeah. See ya.